Mortal Kombat is finally released, now available on HBO Max and select theaters. This reboot adapts the story and characters from the video game with a twist, though. I was super excited to watch this movie because my brother and I would play the video game on N64 growing up all the time. I really enjoyed the original 1995 Mortal Kombat movie, even though it has some bad parts. Definitely a guilty pleasure movie for me. I do not mind the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, even. This reboot is just as enjoyable as those two films and cool to watch because of the R rating. I would say that this Mortal Kombat reboot is better than Annihilation, but I still enjoyed the original Mortal Kombat movie more from 1995. This movie feels like an origin story with the goal of familiarizing us with the characters, new and old. An original character of the series is introduced in this that has no story from the video games, and he is the center focus of this movie. The main character is Cole Young, who is a fighter who was born with the Mortal Kombat logo. This logo acts as a ticket to enter into the tournament to crown which realm is superior. We never get to see this tournament fall out in this movie. All we see is the Earthrealm champions training and getting ready for the tournament as they're hunted down by Shang Shu. The movie seemed to leave out crucial backstory information, though. A problem I had with the movie was the different realms never being explained. One of my favorite Mortal Kombat video games is Mortal Kombat Deception. In the video game, you're traveling through these realms, trying to bring peace to all the realms, fighting these characters and killing them. This should have been explained more in this movie and kind of relayed back to Deception because I think that's such a great story of the Mortal Kombat video games. The Mortal Kombat characters are iconic, and one of the reasons why people go to see these movies to see these characters come to life on the big screen from the video game. The movie is anchored by the rivalry between Sub Zero and Scorpion. Yet again, the movie does a poor job of explaining why the characters hate one another so much. There is a badass payoff fight though between the two at the end of the movie, but it was kind of spoiled in the trailers because you saw the big moves and critical moves in the fight before the movie even started. So I was expecting them through the fight and knew they were coming, which I don't like doing in movies. Other Mortal Kombat characters all throughout this movie, like Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Kano, Sonya Blade, Jax, and many more. I did think some of these characters were miscast, though. Most in particular is Liu Kang. Liu Kang was the main focus of the original 1995 movie. In that movie, in this movie, though, he is a side character played by an actor that I just could not believe to be Liu Kang compared to the 1990 version, where I thought that actor really was Liu Kang from the video game and looked just like him. Where in this one, it kind of took me out of the movie at some points just seeing him as Liu Kang. The two standout characters in this movie, though, were Kano and Kung Lao for me. Both these characters looked like their video game counterparts, and I enjoyed the performance of Kano in the movie. Kung Yao's character was a character that I would always play as in the video game, and loved seeing him in fights in this movie. And then there's another character that also looked incredible, which was Cabal. He really looked like he resembled the video game in this movie. And then there's also Guro, who looked way better than I thought he would. The CGI for Guro really made him look intimidating and huge while it was still making him look natural and scaled proportionally to his size and the four arms he had. But the CGI used in the fight scenes were bad at times. The fights were well choreographed. They just looked weird once the special abilities were added to the fights with the CGI. The fights were also brought down from good to average because of where they made the cuts throughout. Just didn't flow together well, I thought. The weird angles of the shots also made the fights less impactful. I think just having a stationary camera pointed at the fighters would have worked better. Just like in the video game, just have that stationary camera and just look at all the moves they're doing and the fatalities. And I think that would have done justice more than changing these shots and doing weird shots and rotating the camera and all that. This movie definitely references the video game in many ways with nostalgic lines and flawless victories. At the end of a few fights, the characters would say iconic lines like flawless victory or finish him. Why I love the character of Kano so much, though, was the line he said after a fight. He talked about himself in third person, saying Kano wins after defeating an enemy. This developed the character more and showed me more of his personality and a lot more depth to the character as well. The fights could have definitely been handled better as the director of this film. The fatalities were still cool and awesome to see with the movie being rated R. The rating also meant that we could see a lot more blood. I think the movie used actually excessive amounts of blood. It should have been scaled back a little bit. Most of the blood was CGI'd, and it took me out of the movie because it did not seem to fit within the scene, and they're just splattering all over the place. I still found the movie to be a great first installment into this franchise that sets up major storylines throughout this and realms that we can discover through future movies. And there is a tease of a certain character that might appear in the next Mortal Kombat movie that gets me excited. One aspect of the movie that was lacking though was the music. I wanted to see that video game theme song being played on full blast throughout the movie, yet we only get to hear this music for a short time near the end of the film and being way scaled down and toned down as well. The fact that I am such a big Mortal Kombat fan may hurt my rating of this movie because I expect a lot from it, but I did enjoy myself and love seeing the characters fighting to the death. I would give Mortal Kombat a 76 out of 100. Go check it out now on HBO Max or in theaters today. I really hope the next Mortal Kombat movie includes my favorite character, Baraka. I would love to play as him as a child, and he is a badass.